I actually think our next speaker will also be very helpful. I know that there's been a conversation around social housing that has, not only, this program, which would have inclusionary kick-in at 10 units and 10,000 square feet, but also, social housing, which is built with public funds and allows that to happen. And Paul Williams, who is our next speaker, has been one of the leading forces for that. Let me see if I can get to my slides again. He is the founder and executive director of the Center for Public Enterprise. He founded the Center for Public Enterprise because he believes our public center must be revitalized to overcome constraints in today's economy and to provide high-quality public goods and services. He formerly worked for the Jane Family Institute in New York and the City of Chicago's Department of Housing and the Economic Opportunity Institute in Seattle. He holds a master's in economics from John Jay and a bachelor's in mathematics from the Evergreen State College, and has been, the person who introduced me to social housing. And I know that's a huge part of the conversation that we've been having at the state level. He's been working with Representative Mike Connolly and other people. And I think also acknowledges that, for social housing to happen, we also need the zoning reform to kind of match it and to allow that to happen. And I think I would love for him to take stage and talk a little bit about his experiences. I believe he is on the Zoom.
Hi, everybody. Thank you to Chair Siddiqui and Councillor Azim for inviting me to talk today. It's a real pleasure to be here. And yeah, I want to dovetail off of what Jason Furman said about these types of zoning reforms are a critical component to make all of the other pieces that we want to employ for housing affordability work. Without the zoning reform, it's really hard to make any of these kinds of programs that we want really happen and have the impact that we want. So to talk about that, so my organization, Center for Public Enterprise, we work directly with state housing finance agencies, housing authorities, and other municipal and state and federal economic development corporations and agencies like that, particularly on a kind of new set of tools to facilitate what we call mixed income public development. And these programs give housing authorities and housing finance agencies the ability to produce additional affordable mixed income developments beyond what the current appropriation from Congress of subsidies provides for, right? And so as anyone at Cambridge Housing Authority or Mass Housing, your state housing finance agency will tell you, the constraint on affordable production, there's two major constraints. One is the access to the subsidies, and that's what Congress sends you every year in the form of low-income housing tax credits, bond volume cap, project-based vouchers, these sorts of things. And the other constraint is the zoning. And that constrains the size of buildings and also constrains whether a particular lot that might be ripe for affordable housing is even viable for it because of the zoning constraints that are placed on it. And so as an organization, we largely work on those financing issues and help housing finance agencies kind of overcome that barrier to investing in these kinds of mixed income developments. But the other barrier, again, is that zoning issue. So a number of housing authorities and housing agencies that we work with that have programs like this, like Montgomery County, Maryland's Housing Opportunities Commission, Atlanta, Georgia's Atlanta Urban Development Corporation, which is a subsidiary of their public housing authority, and a bunch of others that I won't get into all of them, but what we hear from them all the time is that the planning and zoning and siting and approval process makes it that much harder for them to close on these new kinds of mixed income public developments. And it works against them in all sorts of ways, right? First, it works against them by essentially excluding certain sites from what could be developable and what could be really great places to put these kinds of affordable housing investments. So that just kind of rules out a bunch of sites right out of the gate. And then the next thing it does is sometimes you can try to get these changes approved, but it takes 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months. And what that does is increase the holding costs and the pre-development costs for you to plan your project. And the ultimate effect of that is it takes away from the affordability of the eventual product that your public housing authority wants to deliver. And so all of those costs just add up and reduce the amount of affordability that our public agencies can provide, and also inhibit them. So when Councilor Azim mentioned to me that this was going to be proposed here in Cambridge, I was really excited because I know that at the state level, I know Mass Housing has a couple of financing tools that they're putting together that are part of the governor's proposed housing bond package that I think are fantastic and would be really beneficial for Massachusetts for creating more mixed income affordability. And I also know that Representative Mike Connolly has a piece of legislation that is being considered for that same bond package that would create a fund specifically for housing authorities to do that same kind of activity. And so all of these kind of pieces coming together at once would really creates a great opportunity to, as Jason Furman said, the zoning change unlocks all of these additional opportunities for more of the types of investments that people in Cambridge want to see in their community. So I'm happy to leave it there or answer any questions, but I'm excited to see this, and I think that this could be really good news for Cambridge Housing Authority, for the people of Cambridge, and for mixed income housing affordability.
Thank you.
For your neighborhoods.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul. I just also wanted to put out a clarifying point in case anyone gets confused. The types of projects that Paul is talking about in terms of social housing would not qualify under our 100% affordable housing overlay, because these would have very different income profiles in order to be economically viable. And so in case anyone is confused, that's the distinction there. But again, just like with Professor Furman, I wanted to open it up in case anyone on the council had any questions. All right.
Councilor Nolan?
Thanks so much. We're all interested in social housing as a viable means to get mixed income. I'm just curious as to what models have been successful in this country for actually delivering on that.
Yeah. So we work with a dozen different housing authorities and housing finance agencies around the country on designing and implementing these models, and we've got a lot of units built and thousands more in the pipeline on deals that are closed or close to closing. So there's a lot that's working and has worked. The kind of models. So the idea with our approach to financing these kinds of developments is what can a housing authority or housing finance agency do that doesn't require the use of low-income housing tax credits or tax-exempt bond volume cap. So those are the two main affordable housing subsidies that are provided by Congress to states and to their state allocating agencies. The way that these models work is with a high loan-to-cost senior loan from FHA combined with investment from a revolving loan fund that provides construction financing, you're able to get a product that has a good mix of affordability and units at 50 to 60% AMI, and a mix of market rate units that doesn't require the use of any of those scarce congressionally appropriated subsidies. And that's really what the that's really the core benefit, right? Because if you're just using those same sets of subsidies, then the end result is you're just getting the same number of units. And the whole idea here is we want to give agencies the financial tools to build additional beyond just what Congress is going to pay for. I'm happy to go into more detail on kind of the capital stack and the financing and how you convert from construction finance to permanent finance. If you're interested in that, or happy to sit down if you'd rather do it another time. But does that answer your question, or did you want more detail?
Counselor Nolan?
Yes, but I think we should move on, and I'm happy to have more detail later. Thank you.
Okay. Great.
All right. Thank you, Paul. I really appreciate you making time and chiming into this city council hearing.